Welcome to The Nooner, a daily dispatch of open-ended ideas from J.E. Peterson, but you can call me Jordan. If you like this podcast, I hope you'll click whatever you need to click to make sure it consistently shows up in the crosshairs of your attention. The thought of you missing out gives me night sweats. All right, here's today. Pain in two parts. Tragedy hurts twice. A friend of mine recently found out that the engine in his family's RV is shot after gasoline somehow ended up in the diesel tank. How did it happen? They have no idea. Their best guess is, unlikely as it sounds, that one of the gas stations they stopped at during a long trip misrouted one of the pumps. They're in the process of trying to figure out if there have been a lot of other reports anywhere along the route they took, in which case a lawsuit could be on the table. Confidence in this is not strong. As you can imagine, this came as a very large and very unpleasant surprise. My friend's family is what you might consider middle class. The RV was one of their major assets. The cost for replacing the engine is around $20,000. Technically, they can afford it, but only if they forego some relatively urgent repairs on the fixer-upper home they've been fixer-uppering for the past couple of years. So they are faced with two equally unpalatable options. Try to sell the RV for whatever they can with its busted engine, or replace the engine, then try to sell it to recoup the cost. As of now, they haven't made a decision. Possibly they're hoping they might discover some third, less terrible option, but I think the bigger reason is that once they make a decision, they'll have to just live with it. My friend's RV problem has got me thinking about how this kind of gut punch event causes pain in two parts. Part one is the pain of indecision. We put off making the decision because making a decision finalizes the bad thing we wish hadn't happened. It's saying, yep, this thing happened, and these are the immutable consequences. We have to relinquish the unconscious hope that somehow some miracle will make it all better. Meanwhile, the indecision itself is torture. It sends us into endless loops of unresolvable hypotheticals. Like a computer succumbing to bugged software, our processing power gets totally eaten up by these endless loops, and we freeze. Spend enough time drinking part one pain, and the consequences can be utterly ruinous. How to move on? Make the decision. Tear off the Band-Aid. No, there are no good options, but you still have to pick one of them. Only then can you graduate to part two, which is grief. Grief that the thing happened. Grief at the inevitable consequences of the decision you had to make. Grief at the loss you are suffering. The pain of grief is bad, but it can be processed. It can be metabolized. You can get over it. But you can't get over the pain of indecision. It can't be processed or metabolized. It's like a black hole. The more energy you spend on not deciding, the more overwhelming and terrible it feels. So, the next time something crappy smacks your life in the face, remember that you're going to have to deal with that pain in two parts. Then, quick as you can, get to part two, so that, quick as you can get over it and move on with your life. Are you thinking about someone right now? That's probably a good indication that they might like to hear what you just heard. I'm not going to ask you to spam your socials, but I am going to ask you to follow your heart. And right now, your heart knows who to share this with. See you at noon tomorrow.